Well, Sian is Sian Kerry and I'm Bobby Tiwana, and we're here from Sian's here from Arts Live and I'm here from Black Country Touring.
So Arts Live is a rural touring scheme for Shropshire and Herefordshire. We needed to identify a community to work with, and I wanted to go where I already had an existing promoter. And Stones is a tiny village. The village school has got 25 pupils in total, and it's got a school, almost, a pub. That's about it really, and a brass band. And it's in a very sort of hilly part of Shropshire. So that's the community we chose to work with.
Black Country Touring, for those that don't know, we're an urban touring scheme and we cover the areas of Sandwell, Wolverhampton, Walsall and Dudley. And the Community Action Project is, otherwise known as the CAP Centre, is one of our promoters that we work with regularly. It's in the town of Smethwick, which is a socio-economically deprived area. It serves long-standing immigrant communities to Britain, being from the subcontinent as well as the Caribbean, and as well as newer immigrant communities from Africa as well as the Middle East.
Okay, so this is where we started last year when the project started. Was my personal soapboxes really. I also really wanted to work with Black Country Touring, and we seemingly have so little in common, so we decided to work on what we had in common, which is about our communities really. So I've got this thing about us all living in completely monocultural areas, which is not representative of the country, it's not representative of the world. That it's a real soapbox of mine. The children are growing up never meeting people who speak different languages, who come from different faiths, different cultures. And the second thing is when we bring artists in, they're here for the night and we have a nice time, but they go away again. They're always seen as other. And I wanted just a chance for people to spend a bit more time together and share a bit more information and connect really. And we've just got fantastic footpaths and rural access in this countryside, and it's mostly only used by people who live in the countryside, and a lot of them don't go off the sofa. So I just really want to encourage people to come out and use. I live in such a beautiful place with such huge physical space around me, and that's such a different experience when you get someone from a city into the countryside.
So how did we go about doing it? Well, firstly, we were talking to each other, Arts Alive and Black Country Touring, and then we thought we need to get some ambassadors from each community to be part of the project. And beyond that, there was 2 schools that were involved, and reaching out even further, 2 communities, the rural and the urban. So we started off with an ambassador's visit from the city to the countryside, and the point of this was to give a presentation in a school, to talk to children about what the city might be like, to introduce ourselves, as well as walk through some of the activities we had planned for the longer exchange, because there was some reticence about doing things like walking up the cypress stands and what kind of footwear you might need to wear to do that, as well as, of course, have lunch and get to know each other. And there you can see us.
This is Mark from the CAP Centre.
What's he trying? What kind of berries were these, Sean?
I think it's back at Chris actually.
No, they were those purple berries.
It is windberries. Windberries grow wild on the cypress stones, that's what it is.
So the right hand is actually misleading.
But it gets a laugh, doesn't it? Rural to urban. So then our ambassadors went back to them. Well, because one of our ambassadors, we had a teaching assistant from the school, the publican and his wife, who are very strong community activists as well, and a local artist who is my promoter in that community, and another person who supports her promotions. As soon as you get an artist on board, you have to do things, don't you? So we ended up doing a song with actions to a whole bunch of stunned school children. This is one of my ambassadors, this is Sal. This is us. It was just, I couldn't believe I was doing this. The Black Country ambassadors were standing there going, I couldn't believe we were making such fools of ourselves, but we did. We went to a mosque, which was absolutely fascinating. Brilliant imam, I mean, he was just so welcoming. The mosque is actually a community centre that's been turned into a mosque, so it's not a pretty mosque. Go, yours.
So after that we had the schools exchange, and this is where we put an urban artist in the rural school and an artist from the countryside into the urban school. And their job was to get the kids interested, excited, curious about what the other place might be like, what the school journey might be like for the kids in each respective area. And we did this in a number of ways. there was Lisa, the urban artist, sent through a box of wares she'd bought from the city, and the children in the countryside had to work out what things were and where they came from, and then they got involved in all sorts of things. And this was their cityscape, their journey. This is them anticipating, the rural kids anticipating what the city might be like. And I think there was another statistic, which was...
in the urban school.
Wasn't there another statistic, which I don't actually have here to verify, but I think for the urban school, they had children from 35 different countries where they spoke that many different languages.
Yeah, it was completely different. These two communities are only 56 miles apart. It's incredibly close when you think of how different their lives are. So this was the first day. So the idea was that we started with a little thing, we moved out to ambassadors, we moved out to schools, and then we invited the community all the time, moving out with... This is you talking, sorry.
That's fine. So this is when the city folk came to the countryside, and...
of course they got lost on the way, because you have to.
And fortunately this was the beginning of November, and out there it could have been, had it been a grey and miserable day, it would have been a very different experience. But the sun came out for us on this day, and we took a walk to the Devil's Chair. Most people were, I think, dressed appropriately, but
we rustled up a whole bag of lost property and wellies that we took with us, my car was full, and to give people footwear, because people turned up in flip-flops and things, and we knew they needed something a bit better than that. Talking point.
In that, you don't see this every day. You see a different type of poo in the city. It tends to be dog poo. But this caused a bit of curiosity and a bit of embarrassment, and as well as cow poo. And interestingly, as children are running about, and one actually ended up falling, but only their legs in it. And of course, that child was ridiculed for the rest of the day by his peers. And then once we got to the Devil's Chair, everyone posed. It sort of happened spontaneously, didn't it? Everyone started...
We had this long health and safety talk. Are we going to let them climb the stones? No, we're not going to let them climb the stones. Okay, we're just going to look the other way.
And this is where we had one of the local ambassadors telling us the story of the Devil's Chair. And then we ventured down and had some lunch at school, down the mines.
So there's industrial heritage in our rural community as well, which is quite interesting. This was the coach driver. The coach driver had intended to spend the whole day sitting on his coach listening to the radio. After about an hour I went and said, why don't you turn the engine off and come out? He had a fantastic day, went down the mine, stayed for everything.
Blacksmith. And then we had a workshop with Vamos Mask Theatre. As you could see, everyone got into it and had a whale of a time. And then that was followed by a well-needed rest and some tea and cake and a brass band.
Which was a bit surreal, actually, I have to say.
I thought the most surreal bit was where they played the ABBA tune.
I had one of those lovely ooh moments about rural touring. You sit and you think, this is great, I love this hall with completely mixed people having a really extraordinary time. I think I like this.
And then the evening culminated with Natstar Sansar, which is Bhangra dance. And this is where the rest of the local community joined us. So on our day, I think we'd had about maybe best part of 50 people of both communities together. And this is where, would it have been closer to...
It was at 100, it was packed.
And so this went off with a nice bang. And I think, as someone who'd been part of this journey, and we started off at 9 o'clock in the morning, you can imagine by 8:30 we were exhausted on one level, but we left on such a high, and the farewell that the various different communities exchanged in on the way to the coach was the highlight.